Hello, 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 and welcome to the Deliberate Millionaire stream. I am Rosemary, Nonny, RNK for short. And we're talking about who sets the limits. Who sets the limits in your life? Here we go with the affirmation for this week. I accept all of me, the dark, the light, the in-between. I accept all of me. I love me. And again, I accept all of me, the dark, the light, the in-between. I accept all of me. I love me. Woohoo! Okay, so who sets the limits for you? Who sets the limits for your life? I got to thinking this morning about what was I thinking about? First of all, the first place that we always go to is work, because we spend a heck of a lot of our time at work, right? But people put limits on what they're allowed to do. Because I was sitting on my spin cycle this morning thinking about the things, because I like to get clear, very, very clear about how I want my life to play out. And I have actually created a pretty amazing life based on the ideas that most people would have told me and did tell me could not work. I cannot just spend lots of time reading, can I? Of course I can. I cannot just spend lots of time speaking and singing and whatever and still create a living. Yes, I can. But I didn't believe it for a long time, so I became a pharmacist. And I became a pharmacist because I was told that that's a useful thing to do, right? And I see lots of people doing exactly that same thing. What seems to be practical, what seems to be responsible. So then they never actually allow themselves to do what they really truly want to do. So that's just work. Another area, relationships. You've seen the way relationships are. Now, I come from a culture where when I was growing up anyway, it didn't even matter what each partner was doing to each other. The husband could be beating the wife. The wife could be, the wife was hardly ever allowed to sleep around, because if you sleep around, then you're some kind of evil person. But the husband was allowed to sleep around. And in fact, I've been at various people's houses where their husband was very obviously sleeping around. I even knew it as a child. And it was acceptable that he did so, whereas the woman just stayed home crying. And this is probably something that she spotted with her parents, and it was accepted as this is the normal. And so that limit was set inside of her mind from a very young age. Or it could be the other way around, that you've seen certain ways of doing relationships, and so you cannot allow yourself to create anything different, because there's a part of you that thinks that is all I can expect out of life. And so I see people throwing themselves at relationships where they're being hurt, but they think that that's how it has to be. And so they keep allowing that to happen to them. And they would say, I had no choice, there's no good people left in the world, and, it's just the way it is, and, if you love someone, you just have to, understand, and they would say crazy things like that, and it would actually sound even real, and maybe they even go to their church or whatever, where they're not allowed to divorce anyone, so therefore we just have to stay together forever, even though I'm feeling horrible and I'm being treated badly, but this is all I can expect out of life. Of course, maybe in the next life, things will be better. But for now, for the children's sake and for the this and for the other, I had people coming around my house where the wife was being beaten up, and all the elders would gather, just kind of pat the husband on the hand and say, don't do that, and send the wife back home with all of that. And he was just like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But that was the culture in which I grew up. But there was a part of me that just felt, no. Now, I know that's not everybody's experience, but that's an extreme example. But it's a limit that people learn to live with. What limits are you living with because of what you've seen, because of the experiences you've had? Let's talk about health. I was a pharmacist. We were told that men are more prone to getting certain diseases, more likely to get diabetes, especially if their father had diabetes as well. So therefore, they're more likely to get diabetes and things like that. And we all accepted it as gospel truth. You probably do as well. You just think, men are more prone. In fact, being a man, according to science, is just a recipe for disaster in terms of your health. Okay? That was it. And so therefore, nobody looks to see, is it because Men they fit a certain role. They saw their parents, they saw their father acting as though he was the only lion in the jungle, and he had to stress himself out to look after his family or whatever, basically. And so they saw that, and so took on the same kind of stresses and the same kind of nonsense and the same nonsensical lifestyle that their father is living. So therefore, they somehow get the same kind of diseases, which are maybe nothing to do with genetics, but everything to do with what you believe to be true for you and how you've chosen to live your life. But nobody questions that. Let's just look at genetics and say you have no choice in the matter. It's just the way it is. Who sets the limits for you? And it's like I come from African culture where the food we eat sometimes is pretty dang unhealthy. Not always. I'm not going to say that. So maybe Afro-Caribbean as well. There's lots of oil, lots of grease, lots of stuff. And people are eating themselves into an early grave and telling themselves it's because of their genetics. According to who? Oh yeah, science told you once upon a time that, oh, because you're black, you're more likely to get diabetes, or because you, I don't know. And so then people that are brought up in was it Greek people or whatever with their diet, it's healthier. And then it's obvious that has nothing, yes, it is culture, but culture can be changed. You don't have to condemn yourself to living the same way your parents did or their parents did because it's your culture. Who sets the limits in your life? When last did you really think about, why am I doing these things and why am I not allowing myself to do things that would actually bring me joy? But I tell myself, and it's like I listen to parents sometimes even telling their children, no, you cannot do that and create a good life because, nobody makes money doing that. According to what? According to their own experience. So they had to give up their own ideas, or they told themselves they had to give up their own ideas, and now they're spreading the same exact message to their children. I hope you're not one of those parents, but a lot of us think it's the best thing we can do for our children is to actually tell them that they need to be limited because we don't want them to be disappointed. And so we set limits for them from a very young age. But it's not just about work, though. It's so insidious how we accept stuff without questioning anything. We just accept that, oh well, because everybody we know lives to these crazy standards, that just must be the way life is. What if it's not true? What if you don't have to get diabetes just because your parents did? What if you don't have to be, big boned just because your parents were? What if you don't have to settle for a relationship where someone is treating you badly just because that's all you've ever seen? What if there's another way? There is though, and somehow consciously you all know that there's another way. But are you living as though there's another way? Or are you telling yourself, because your actions speak louder than your words, right? So if your actions are like, oh well, this is my life, then it doesn't matter what words you're speaking because you're really saying nothing like that works for me. I don't actually believe that I can have better. Well, I'm here to remind you that you are powerful enough to create whatever you desire out of your life. You just need to properly wake up. Some of y'all are already kind of awake, but there's still areas that escape your attention because you think it is just the way it has to be. No, it is not just the way it has to be. You are making a decision to allow it to continue being that way. You don't have to carry on whatever it is that your parents told you you're supposed to carry on. Awaken to the power within you to design a life completely the way you want it to be. Wake up. Fully. You need to master yourself. There's too much room for passivity in your life. And I know that's not necessarily what people want to hear. But the only way you're going to truly prosper in every area of your life is to take full responsibility for every area of your life and no longer allow things to just pass you by unseen. unseen. Awaken. If you want to create an amazing life, it's within your power to do so in every area. You just need to choose to. Are you ready to choose? I hope so. Share this with someone else. Share this with someone else. We need to get people thinking instead of just going along with whatever the world brings them. Okay? It's time to start thinking about what is possible for you and actually creating it, and stop pretending to be weaker than you are. You are powerful creatures created in the image and likeness of the divine. There is nothing outside of your reach. Stop believing that there is. Much amazing love. Go forth and prosper. Tag somebody in. Share some with someone else. Bye.